Now we're going to start by talking about one of the leaders in the past of the Onondaatwoord people, and his name was Atotaro. And Atotaro, when he was a young man, he was a good guy, and the people were very anxious for him to become one of their leaders. And they say that he was a good-looking guy and was the kind of guy that would help anyone. And in this story, it's about someone who maybe they became jealous of him or for some reason felt that he did wrong by them. But this Atotaro guy, as I said, was being groomed to be one of their leaders. And for the most part, people were kind of looking forward to the time when he would be put in as one of their head ones. And this Atotaro, as I said, was considered a good-looking guy, and he would go hunting and was generous with what he got when he was hunting, and was just, for the most part, overall, a good guy. And maybe it happened that because he was a good lacrosse player, maybe it happened that he checked somebody or something happened. Maybe somebody felt that their family or their boy should be the one to be in this position of being groomed for leadership. And as I said, he was considered to be a good-looking guy. They say he had long hair, and as I said, was a good lacrosse player. Good hunter. And they say that for some reason, and sometimes it happens that way, and it's too bad, but he made someone mad, and so mad that they wanted to do him harm, and maybe they wanted to poison him and to even kill him. And what happened is they hired some bad-minded people that knew about what we call otgon, or they knew about poison and how to use it. And you know, long ago in those days, they could use and make poisons from plants and use sometimes the birds and the animals as carriers for that poison. And they say that whoever they hired, whoever they got to poison him, must have really known what they were doing, because they created a very colorful bird. And this bird they sent after him. Now this bird was sent in order to poison him and to lure him when he was hunting. And what happened was Otataro went in the woods one day and while he was hunting, and he happened to see this really colorful bird with very different feathers. And he thought maybe those would be good, those feathers would be good on a Gustoa, or he could use it, and he wanted those feathers. And he went after this bird, and they said that he got ready to shoot it. And just as he got ready to shoot it, the bird would fly off. It wouldn't fly a long ways away. It would land somewhere where he could see it. And he'd go stalking up to it and sneaking up to it again and try to shoot it. Well, they said that Otataro ended up getting lured further and further from his home. And that late in the day, late in the afternoon, finally he was able to shoot the bird. And when he shot this bird, it fell to the ground. And Otataro, of course, was pretty happy. And he went up to the bird and he picked it up. And when he picked it up, right away he grabbed the bird and he held on to the bird and grabbed the tail feathers of it and pulled those tail feathers out. And when he pulled the tail feathers out, what happened was almost like a poisonous gas came right up and went right into his face, and it went into his eyes and his nose and his mouth. He breathed it in. And this poison, as I said, was meant to kill him. Well, he happened to take that bird and he threw it to the side, and what happened is it changed Otataro, and it changed him, and it poisoned him, and he managed to stay alive, but it changed everything about him. And where he was at one time a happy guy, it changed him to being mean and being cross. And it changed his very appearance. And they say that it aged him because that poison burned him. And not only did it burn his face and his eyes and nose and mouth, but some say that it might have even burnt his brain. And it caused him to look and act very different. And they say that as I said, now instead of being the Otataro that the people loved, it made him into this hideous, ugly being. And they say that that poison was so strong that it caused there to be 7 different bends or crooks in his body. And it said that after a time he became so unkept and he let himself go that snakes lived in his hair, in his long, beautiful hair, fell out and became snake infested. And they say that everything that he did to help people now is gone. And that it caused him to live and be the example of the bad mind. And that his mind was very strong before, and he could use his mind and he could tell if somebody needed help and he could help them. But now, where he loved his people before, that's all twisted and changed. And as I said, it made him ugly and made it so that now, instead of loving the people, he hates the people. So Atataro, during this time that the peacemaker is coming around, made himself the leader of the Onondaga people. And he ruled with his evil mind. And he could tell what people were thinking. And he used that as a weapon. And used it in a way to hurt the people. And Atataro became the enemy of peace. And Hayawenta and the peacemaker tried to go see him. And what he did was he used his evil mind to even control his environment. And some said that he could control the weather around him with his wicked mind. And that he made a nest out on an island. And it was from that nest and from that place that he ruled the people. So Atataro was really changed. And you know, the peacemaker decided, well, I need to go and see him. He's the kind of person, and that's the kind of thing that I need to, that my message needs to be used to change. And he thought and decided that he would go and maybe be the one to cause him to change. So Hayawenta agreed to help him And together, they went and looked for his island. And they said that they got in a canoe, and they start to paddle out there to his island, where Altataro was living. And he knew they were coming. And he used his wicked mind, and he made a big storm. And when he made this big storm, they say that the canoe those guys were in got tipped over, and they had to swim for it, and they barely made it back to the land. And they decided that maybe they would come back, and that maybe it was better if they had some help when they were going to talk to him. So for the time, they left him at his place. But that it is a wicked, awful place where he is. So this is the story about who is leading at Onondaga, or the Onondageono, the Onondagas. And Altataro, with his wicked mind, was very strong.